It is on 28.
It's a 35 to 135.
Ah.
It's not a long one, but it has good depth of field.
Ah, okay.
Ah, salut François. Oui, ça va.
So FX9.
9, FX9. This one for frame, yes?
Yes.
Yes. Its format 40K.
No, HD.
Hey.
Because we file in HD,
Oh,
so I don't need to use that much memory space. So
Non, oui. Oui. Bien joué. Tu prenais les techniques. Tu prenais tout ça. Ouais, tu as raison. Tu as revendu Versailles, oui. C'est vrai, voilà. Qu'est-ce qui coule? C'est quoi qui n'allait pas? Ah, c'est quoi qui te... Ah, tu n'avais pas le sabot? Oui. Ouais, de toute façon c'est... Ouais.
ready?
Non, mais je comprends. Oui. Oui, moi j'ai aussi quelques soucis, dans le sens de configuration, on change dans tous les sens. Et je suis certain qu'il y a un bloqué ça. Et je ne sais pas encore comment. Je me suis retrouvé plusieurs fois, notamment au Parlement de l'Hommage, je me retrouvais en position seconde. Et j'ai déclenché ça 10 secondes. Et c'est en plein milieu. Je dirais, Michel Carlet. Oui, il se met sur le côté. Et tu as raison.
Hello, how are you? Salut. Ça va et toi? Ça va mieux?
Oui, ça va mieux.
Petite fatigue?
Mais ce qui m'inquiétait, c'est d'avoir la fête, pas pouvoir rentrer ici. Mais bon, ça
Ils
va.
ont même pas fait.
T'as pas fait chez toi? Ah, moi, ils m'ont fait.
Il y a trop de monde.
Moi, je suis arrivé juste avant le repas. 20 minutes de film? Ah oui, moi, j'étais avec personne. Ah oui, ça c'est...
J'ai envoyé un mail aussi. Le dossier de bancaire.
Oui. Non, on peut faire ça. Les Américains, ils viennent ici, ils parlent ici, puis après ça, ils parlent avec
Je suis même pas sûre. Je suis même pas sûre. Mais en théorie, de toute façon, il rentre par ici. Là, peut-être qu'il va donner
Here comes Stoltenberg. Here's Stoltenberg, if you're ready.
the statement.
Eve, here's Stoltenberg.
Stoltenberg is there?
He's right there.
Where?
Right there.
He's there? Where?
It's either the Supreme Allied Commander or Stoltenberg. Hey.
Anything that we can do to help? Probably not me, but thank you, Charlotte. I know it's been very stressful.
There he goes on foot.
Here we go.
Yes, you can open the grey book for the microphone.
Good morning, Mr. Secretary General.
Stoltenberg, good morning.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, hi, we're still setting up on train, so we'll call you back in 2 seconds. Hang on a second. What are we using for our tour?
We're using your phone or
Yeah.
iPod Live IFB.
We're going to set the library up now, so don't worry about that. We'll call you back in a minute. Cheers. Thanks, Arthur. No problem. Right, just...
J'essaie de vous demander les gens des années.
For speed? Yeah. Is it better if we use Steve's phone just for speed? But we do where?
I haven't got the hard computer in there. Yeah, don't worry about the IP. Concentrate the live and the microphone. I've got an idea.
You use your phone on...
I'll use it for the IP for the moment. But you can talk the live and the microphone.
Michael.
Hey.
No, you yes, you will see it and then think about, so we're going to do Steve's IP for his phone, so we're just about to connect. Okay. Do you mind just keeping it? Yeah, thank you. Perfect, thank you. Thank you.
So for the microphone. Oh, you got it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can we get for the starting shot? Can we get the flags? So how are we looking on live here? Oh, have you got the microphone?
If you don't mind moving this way a little bit, then we can film arrival still. So, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's a good point. Can we come? One. Good.
Start to be really swallowed.
Okay, is the mic working? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Okay, let's get live view up. And I'll do the IP. Live is on.
I'll phone MCR and I'll coordinate. So
Hang on, I'm phoning MC. I don't because I need to get for the.
can you talk a little bit more?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Oh,
Machttuur 15 is nee? Machttuur 15 door Finland. Er is
Can you see me as well? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Do you want to transfer me through? Thanks. Yeah, I got you loud and clear. Okay, they're coming to me. Okay.
Have you got any of this in there? Show? You've got that in there? No. Just spin it just for this hit. Just spin it for that. Yeah, happy? Yeah. And I'm not in your way, am I?
A little bit, but you do your live hit, then you can readjust.
Thank
so
you
I
very much.
understand, yeah.
Question. Il faut parler avec le
Thanks.
collègue.
George,
Hoor je keer?
do you know anyone? Have you got
Onder de zitten.
just in case. What do I do with that? George, can you see the mask in the pocket? On the outside? Okay.
Non, je vais pas se faire. Oui. Peut-être qu'ils vont prendre. Et c'est vrai que c'est toute une organisation, donc c'est juste quand même 1 an avant de mettre en place. Non, je vais les visiter, pas tout au début, c'était déjà bien en place. Et je travaillais pendant une journée, je me rends compte un peu, et là c'est un peu bizarre de moi. Et à l'époque, c'était pas une expérience différente. On va tout se couper, pas pour eux, c'est de la végétation. Oui, il a préparé le contrôle. Oui, j'ai des filles, j'en ai jamais. C'est des gens qui sont avec vous. Il écrit au niveau de la plancher. Écrire, c'est la partie. Ah, les autres, on va vous faire la musique. Oui.
Yeah, I mean, look, absolutely, Karen. Look, the fact is, we're here, obviously, at the North Atlantic Council, which is, of course, the political decision-making body of NATO as well, in part because 8 of the members, nearly a third of NATO members, have enacted Article 4, where they have concerns for their territorial integrity, for the independence of their sovereignty, or indeed their security. Now, those countries include all 3 of the Baltics, Poland, Slovakia, and Romania as well. So they have grave concerns. So that is top of the agenda here today, to alleviate some of those concerns. We are getting, of course, all 30 members of NATO will be here today. Anthony Blinken is beginning a 6-country tour of this region, starting Brussels and out to the Baltics as well. Also looking at other Eastern European countries during his tour here. Just looking at my shoulder, of course, getting around, see if we can get a little step for you. But so Article 4 has been enacted by 8 of the members of NATO as well, and that will be top of the agenda today to address those security concerns. Then, of course, to come up with a plan of action. But there are 2 parts to this story as well. And as Jens Stoltenberg has said on both sides of the story, there is no room for miscalculation. There is no room for misunderstanding, especially given the actions we've seen from Russia in the last 24 hours as well. So what is it doing primarily? Well, of course, NATO is a defensive organisation. And the aim here, and I'll just stop a second. Secretary of State. Secretary of State, any word on what NATO can do next?
Hello.
UK Secretary, Foreign Secretary, as indeed she went through there. Of course, the UK, amongst all the other nations in NATO, most of the other nations, have been carrying independent action to support the Ukrainians, of course, and that is one part of the action that NATO can do, of course, is send a limited amount of firepower to Ukraine to defend itself, and of course not trigger anything that would trigger direct conflict between NATO and the Russians. Reinforcements into this region. And we've seen Germany, of course, with its extraordinary change in policy, $100 billion defence plan as well, which provides drones and already planes to US from the United States, all those criticisms from the Trump administration as well. So Germany now looking to spend up to 2% of its GDP on defence, and that has been one of the direct ramifications of this crisis. The UK, for its part, we saw the Foreign Secretary walking through, is looking at doubling its personnel in Estonia, sending fighters to the region and having an enhanced naval presence in the eastern Mediterranean. And a lot of other nations, of course, as we've reported, have been doing what it can do. That's what it can do for a defensive basis. What can it do to help Ukraine as well, given the fact that, as we've said before, at the moment, NATO membership for Ukraine and enacting a no-fly zone does not look like it is on the cards. Well, a lot of countries have been sending a lot of orders to that part of the world. The list is absolutely enormous. Germany supplying defensive weapons. Poland has been sending ammunition, including Javelin anti-tank missiles and Stinger anti-aircraft defensive systems. The EU, of course, and again, extraordinary, first time ever the EU is providing weapons to a war zone. Is spending 450 million euros to to the Ukraine as well. And we've seen it across the board as well, from the Belgians as well, a lot of ammunition and defensive equipment being sent to the Ukrainians as well. Interesting that not only do we have the 30 NATO members here, but of course we have the EU representatives, and we also have Finland and Sweden here as well. Now, Finland and Sweden have been working in association, in partnership with NATO for decades. But the fact of the matter is that public opinion has been against joining NATO for many, many years. But the most recent poll for the Finns and indeed for Sweden have now put the majority of the population in favour of joining NATO, and that is despite the fact that, of course, Russia has threatened to have ramifications for those countries were NATO. Let me hand it back to you for a second. Yes, we do, and that is absolutely important, and I think all our viewers will be very aware of that. So communication channels between the Russians and between NATO are absolutely paramount, and that is something that NATO is definitely working on as well, to make sure that there are no accidents. And of course, without giving tactical details to the Russians giving tactical details to NATO as well, the avoidance of accidents because of poor communication, because of poor interpretation of actions as well. That is absolutely one of the key parts of the NATO strategy as well. So having those communication lines important, but again, not easy in this current environment when there is such momentum going around between the parties. Look, I mean, a lot of nations like the Poles have been at 2%, the Brits have been at 2%, the Americans, of course, provide the bulk of the military capability of NATO, let's make no bones about it, have been spending at about 3.5%, and spend, again, I think it's around about 3/4 of the budget of NATO as well. It's more than the entire other 29 states put together, and they don't even get near to what the US spending is. So, absolutely. A lot of people would have looked at that, I think it's 11th of July 2018, that incredible meeting, and I think we ran it live actually in Squawkbox, with Jens Stoltenberg having a breakfast meeting here in Brussels with President Trump. Now, President Trump not only took to task with the spending of members, but also took to task the fact that Russia was supplying Germany, and of course, and Europe as well, with a vast amount of energy. So the criticisms were absolutely enormous from the Trump administration, but actually the criticisms have gone before Trump and after Mr. Trump as well. So a lot of people have been making that point for a very long time. I'm just looking over my shoulder.
Good morning, Minister.
Good morning, Minister. Good morning. What can NATO do next, sir?
Minister.
Good morning, thank you.
They control the Dardanelles, they control the Boston Strait as well. And what Turkey has been looking at is denying access of military warfare from all continents into that part of the world. And of course, Tesco, Turkey is in NATO, but the problem here, of course, with Turkey is that a lot of its defensive capability comes from Russia as well. You'll recall the concern about 400% of missiles being bought by Turkey at the same time when it was trying to buy F-35 military warfare. So enormous contradictions there as well. But it's a very interesting situation we're in with from Turkish Foreign Minister, who has been critic of course, some of the region from Russia, but of course trying to keep as well a very close relationship between Mr. Erdogan and Mr. Putin, despite of course the fact that in the Middle East, Turkey is very often against what the Russian foreign policy is.
Turkish foreign minister.
Can we switch the IFP now to
Have you got power? Can you get power? Is that one there?
Et on fait moins maintenant. Voilà, qui t'aide. C'est quand même un avec ça se met bien avec. Moi je trouve ça vécu.
I don't want to switch out until you when you get out here. Yeah, if you can just get it to the phone, I'll rest it. This is the phone we use.
Yeah, but I'm waiting the after
Thank you so much.
Where's that phone?
There's another one. What? No, it's okay.
no one in this world? Hello. Come in. Yes.
Good morning. I just wanted to, yes. Yeah, no Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Go have Easter. Finish.
Hi. Alina festgestellt, dass sie gleich kommt. Die ist in 15 und da wurde sie das letztendlich mal auch hat. In dem erste, also quasi einmal Treppe hoch, Media Center. Okay.
Good morning, Minister.
Good morning, Minister.
Please,
Good morning, Campus. Good morning. Here.
Should I go here or
Over here, please.
Yeah, I'm with you. Minister, what can Finland do? Is Finland keen now to join NATO to bolster its own defences?
Well, at the moment, of course, we have to concentrate on Ukraine and giving our full solidarity to Ukraine. What we as Finland have been doing, we have been, of course, donating both lethal and non-lethal material to Ukraine, and we stand fully in line with the European Union solidarity to Ukraine at this moment. And of course, it's obvious that in this kind of situation also the public opinion in Finland is moving and turning more favorably to NATO membership, but this is not the time, of course, to handle that issue. This is the time to show the solidarity to Ukraine.
What more can Finland do to support Ukraine, and what can NATO do? Ukraine has asked for a no-fly zone. Ukraine has asked for helicopters, it's asked for planes as well. At the moment, it seems no one's willing to give them that to them to defend themselves. Should we move to the next stage, sir?
Well, at the moment, I think it's very important first that we stand politically united. What we saw in the UN General Assembly, more than 140 votes condemning the Russian attack against Ukraine. And we have to move on this diplomatic track, pressure Russia, and also have more and more influential sanctions towards Russia.
What's your reaction to the fact that the battle's been raging around the nuclear power plant?
Sorry, are you afraid that this could become a wider European conflict, especially considering the claims for a no-fly zone?
Well, of course, this is already quite wide conflict because Ukraine is a big country and it has many neighbors, and it's immediately affecting to the neighbors. We have seen a major refugee crisis, around 1 million people already on the move, and of course we have to concentrate to help these people. But what is now, of course, our main concern is what is happening in the big cities in Ukraine. And if these cities will be attacked, then of course a big amount of civilians are under fire, and this is something that should be prevented.
So what do you make of the Russian threats to
NATO
Finland?
protect, support no-fly zone?
Well, this is something that I leave to the NATO countries. I don't have any comment.
So what do you make of the Russian threats?
What about the latest developments in the last few hours? The fact that there's been a battle raging around a nuclear power plant. Your reaction to that?
Well, I'm very concerned about the nuclear news. First, of course, we were concerned about the Chernobyl situation and the movement of the troops around the Chernobyl, which was raising probably the radioactive dust and increased the radiation there. And of course, the latest news of the burning building. Hopefully, the burns have now been taken down. But of course, the idea that there is active fighting in the vicinity of the working nuclear power plant is a very scary concept, and we hope, of course, that the Russian troops will immediately stop the fighting in that region.
So what do you make of Russian threats to Finland not to join NATO? What do you say to the Russians?
Well, our answer, of course, is that Finland decides its own security policy. We are responsible for our own security policy. We have a very good connections to NATO. We are in the partnership with NATO, and we have been working very closely on those issues. And according to European security rules, it's every country's right to decide their own security position. Thank you.
Just one final question. Last night, President Putin and President Macron talked to each other, and Putin said to Macron that he wants to take it all. Is that something you just accept, or?
No, of course we don't accept it. A sovereign country cannot be attacked like this. But now what is going on, in my understanding, on the talks on the border of Ukraine and Belarus between the delegations of Ukraine and Russia has been ongoing. The talks to open the humanitarian corridors, to protect the civilians in the cities, and make the immediate ceasefire. Of course, we support all these Ukrainian claims in those talks. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
was too far.
Können wir ein Stückchen nach rechts? Ich stehe Ihnen voll vor der Kamera. Alex, kannst du ein Stückchen in die Richtung, weil ich stehe Ihnen voll vor der Kamera.
خدا ایتیرم میگم خب نخیر خدا میسترا کلوان کینه بزن میزده اومده میتونی اومده خب ایگوری نتونی خب
Vielleicht bald.
Ja, der Einzige, der es ordentlich hat, war das Mark hier.
Was hatten wir an?
Also können wir nachher mal. It's your birthday?
Almost.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Make arrivals look more interesting.
We're talking about the 9. Yeah. Gosh, that's a jump. That's a huge.
I still have we have Z2 ratings to facility, the medium size one. I'm trying to experiment today. See if I can use it. Make things a little nicer.
Got a good lens on it.
It's a 35 to 135. It's okay. It doesn't go in very far, but it creates a nice feeling.
And you can zoom without losing your focus.
It's got a really nice amount of sunny faces, so I don't even have to touch it. It's my first day using it.
Cool.
And why not?
Cool. Rouge à droite. Ligne.
Manchmal hat man Tage, wo es überhaupt kein Problem ist und manchmal ist es nicht so. Ich verstehe nicht, warum.
Immer die gleiche Maske?
Nee, eigentlich sogar sehr oft eine neue. Manchmal schiebe ich die in den Backofen, um sie quasi neu zu machen.
Ich habe ja einen Sohn, der eine Brille hat und der knickt jetzt hier immer so total zusammen. Und ich habe mal nachgemacht und das klappt halt so.
Ich verstehe halt nur nicht, warum nicht. Also kalt ist natürlich ein Faktor, aber manchmal ist es halt auch kein Problem. Okay.
Am ersten Tag immer total hübsch, aus dem zweiten.
Okay, so weit habe ich es noch nicht beobachtet.
Da steht ja das oder sie hat halt Freizeit. Könnte man sich auch vorstellen.
Die Beteiligung waren das hier. Beteiligung vor einer Woche. Ja, Doch, aber Florian war da. Also es war keiner von euch da.
Ach so, das war die Sicherheitskontrolle. Da habe ich da Lücken.
Ja, das war es. Hast du Bereich gegeben? Ja, aber man durfte quasi nicht in den Raum. Ne?
Doch, wir waren im Raum.
Ja? Ich habe seine Rede und Samstag habe ich mir irgendwie so angeguckt. Das glaube ich inklusive seine Rede und das war's. Und fand schon irgendwie sein, wie er dann immer sagt, I think I have to invoke some discipline hier und wie er immer alle aufgefordert hat, jetzt sich endlich hinzusetzen. Da kommt Uli.
Yes. Yeah.
One of us
Steve, going into a break, then straight off the back into you with finish.
How do you know who's coming?
The tall woman with the curly black hair, she's the communications person for the commission.
Okay. You know the people.
Yeah, you know the people who manage the people.
Okay.
No, Canadian broadcaster.
Ihr habt jetzt wirklich keine Live dabei.
Doch, wir haben eine dabei und wir machen jetzt einen neuen Schalter. Hat ich mit Euro
The Canadian broadcaster.
You can keep your place if you want. We can keep your place if you want to go. No? 9:40. On pourrait prendre sa place pour
Are you with the Canadian broadcaster?
Yes.
Is she going to stop
She
with you or
is.
go into your camera down there?
She's going to talk to me.
Right here
but
or down there?
I don't want. Yeah, she's going to find us.
So you guys can get her here?
I'm hoping to.
Yeah, please. It makes life easier for everybody. I was going to rebuild her down there.
Du musst ja aus dem neuen Mitgliedskreis. Hättest du Kapazitäten, uns die Live doch noch mal zu übernehmen?
All right, they're coming with you.
Ich hab die bei mir. Und das zweite, wollt Uli und du euch die Punkkarten quasi austauschen, weil dann könnt ihr ja die Schultertafel machen. Ja, soll ich mal fragen, ob er zu dir kommt? Kann er nicht, er macht jetzt eine Falte. Er macht eine neue Falte. Er steht hier bei uns bei den Vorfahrten. Schaffst du es vielleicht schnell oder? Ja. Versuch's einfach. Genau, drin. Versuch einfach, wenn es nicht klappt, dann ist das halt nicht genau wie ein Spiel, aber das macht nichts. Ja, die ist um 9, kurz nach 9 durch. Ne? Ja, genau. Okay, danke. Ciao. Wäre es möglich, die Berge mit unserer Leiche, ihr habt hier wohl in meiner Tasche. Das kommt ja für dich erzählen. Weil sie doch nicht kriegt. Sie braucht unsere PSN
Genau, ich bin gestern auch zu uns zurückgeschlagen. Es ist nicht lange her, dass ich sie noch dran hatte, gestern bei den Abfahrten der Innenminister.
Kannst du mir was geben?
Du müsstest nur da erstmal nachfragen, genau mäßig, wie wo, warum. Ich muss erstmal hochfahren. Und machen wir nur für Baerbock oder wollt ihr das die ganze Zeit?
Nur für Baerbock.
Achso.
Aber wenn sie gleich einmal läuft, dann können wir ja auch den Rest einfach schon mal rüberspielen, oder?
Ja, aber wir machen es noch nicht jetzt dann.
Nee, unsere Technik ist auch erstmal für eine Stunde über.
Ja?
Hallo, ich wollte dir nur sagen, wir spielen jetzt die Vorfahrten live.
Nicht jetzt, nicht jetzt.
Warte, stopp mal.
Ab halb 10.
Ab halb 10, also 9:30 Uhr. Ah ja, ich dachte auch.
Und dann zu uns, ne? Oder zu euch?
Zu euch?
Ja, genau. Und dann zieht ihr euch die Scheibe.
Warte, wir spielen nämlich mit der Leitung von der ARD zur ARD. Wir holen uns das Signal von der ARD in das VRD2 live.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Nee, das kommt nicht aus
So, was wird jetzt haben?
die ARD bitte, dass du dir das durchcheckst. Dann einen Klick auf den ja, klick den und dann gibt es das VRT. Kommando schieben und plötzlich das heißt VRT. Und da klickst du die einfach an und dann das hier ist.
Den ruft uns unser MCR am besten an, euren zu spielen. Genau, 222, aber die sind noch nicht da. Techniker ist aber unter der Technik. Und auch die ganzen
Alright, welcome back to Scorebox. We are here.
Für mich auch
Finished on Wednesday. I asked
Good morning, Minister. Good morning.
the context
Good morning, sir.
is that the foreign ministers of Finland, of course, they are not responding to the threat.
Good morning.
Over here?
Yeah, would you mind coming over here? We're all here.
Minister, good morning.
Greece as a matter of principle is always for international rule. And of course, the present situation in Ukraine presents the gravest challenge to the rule of international law in the 21st century. In our today's discussion in NATO, we have to address this challenge in a very appropriate way.
Minister. Good morning.
How are you?
Fine, you. Hi. Yes, just a sec.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Hi, folks. So, hi, folks. First and foremost, I'm happy to be here to represent Canada. One of the things that President Putin has been able to do throughout this outrageous war is to make sure that the West is more united than ever. In that sense, I look forward to the conversations we'll be having today. Talking about what happened yesterday in Ukraine, I was made aware, like many of you, about the attack on the nuclear plant that was made late in the night. I was in contact with many of the Ukrainian officials. Prime Minister Trudeau also spoke to President Zelensky late in the night. Obviously, we condemn such an egregious attack that puts the security and health of civilians at risk, not only in the city but also throughout the region. We condemn this attack, and I'll be having a conversation later this morning with the head of the International Atomic Energy Agency. We take this extremely seriously, and we will raise it this morning at NATO.
Minister, what can NATO do next, Minister?
But what more of a response needs to come from NATO members, given what we're seeing coming out?
Well, NATO has been really united in making sure that we are reinforcing the eastern flank. But I think many of the NATO members and partners have been supporting lethal aid to Ukraine. We need to make sure that we do more. And we need to make sure also that we put maximum pressure on President Putin. That is the only way to make sure that this madness stops.
Mr. Zelensky wants a no-fly zone. He's crying out for fighters. He wants a no-fly zone. Is there any chance that NATO will answer positively to either of those requests?
Well, we know that our red line is to make sure that there's no international conflict triggered. President Biden has mentioned that, Prime Minister Trudeau agrees, and obviously this is something that we take into account in taking our decisions. At the same time, I would say that we want to make sure that scenarios are being discussed, and we want to make sure also that throughout the alliance and throughout all the countries that support Ukraine, that we can have discussions, because we need to stop this war.
When you say you do more, what can you as Canada do more?
We want to make sure that we isolate Russia economically, diplomatically, in every single way. This is the best way to make sure that we end this war. I had many conversations with my counterparts within the G7. I think at this point we know that there's a level of irrationality with Putin taking these decisions, and that's why we have to take that into account when dealing with this situation. Civilians are at risk right now. Canada has decided to petition the International Criminal Court because we think that Russia needs to be trialed for crime against humanity and war crime.
Are you afraid that NATO could be dragged into this conflict? Good morning, Minister. Good morning, how are you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. It is indeed a very timely. It is indeed a very timely meeting today of the foreign ministers, including as a follow-up to the NATO summit, which took place exactly a week ago. As far as Romania is concerned, for us the most important topic on the agenda is the response that NATO should give to the Russian aggression in the terms of consistent consolidation of the deterrence and defense posture on the eastern flank. For us, it is extremely important to accelerate as fast as possible the creation of the battle group in Romania, which will be under the lead of France as framework nation. And at the same time, I will stress today the importance for NATO to reconsider the philosophy, the structure, and the constitutive elements of the posture on the eastern flank, because the conditions are totally different from the ones when we have started to build this posture. We have to adapt the posture to the reality which shows that the Russian troops are in Ukraine and in Belarus, so we need to rethink everything. At the same time, I will inform my colleagues about the decision taken by Romania, by the Romanian President Mr. Iohannis, to increase the spending from 2% from the GDP to 2.5% starting with the next fiscal year. And I will also ask my colleagues, of course, to support more the partner countries, especially the Republic of Moldova and Georgia.
Mr. What does that mean, changing the posture because of the actions of Russia on the eastern flank? Does that mean moving NATO from a defensive posture? Just explain to us a little bit more what you mean there, sir.
We need to restructure the posture in order to adapt it to what Russia is doing in Ukraine and in Belarus, because as we speak, basically Belarus has become another military district of Russia, and at the same time we have to take into account the presence of Russia in Ukraine with military forces. And this is very much different from the moment of 2014, where when Russia occupied illegally Crimea, and then, has built up its military presence there, but it was only Crimea which was occupied at that time. So we need to take into account this new reality and to adapt accordingly. Thank you.
Are you afraid that NATO might be dragged into the conflict?
Answer my question, because I think
Well, first, we come together today to show our strong unity. We are united in our effort to deter and we are united in our substantial sanctions, and Russia is isolated. The recent UN vote showed that the world is united against Putin's war of choice. Second, we are united in our solidarity with Ukraine. Their courage is impressive, and their determination still to peaceful resolution is respectable. We are providing all kinds of assistance to Ukraine, and we are providing support to the refugees. Ukraine is not alone, not today, not in the future. And third, we are meeting together with our valuable partners, Sweden, Finland, and the EU, to discuss ways to step up our cooperation. This crisis has shown that EU enlargement is primarily a security policy, and therefore EU should be proactive in the Western Balkans and to speed up or expedite its EU enlargement for the sake of our joint stability.
Good morning, how are you?
Good morning.
First of all, evaluation of the situation, the latest.
The latest is very difficult and very complex situation, because what we are seeing, the shelling of the nuclear power plant in Ukraine, shows that the whole Europe is currently in a very dangerous situation, that the repetition of Chernobyl is very likely, and I think that we need to assess all options that we have, both at NATO and the EU. I personally believe that it is time to speak also about the sanctions on the energy sector. I do believe that Russia still can finance its war through buying gas and oil. I understand how difficult it would be for all of us, but then let's make a choice. Do we want to have nuclear waste and then cleaning up whole world, or we are stopping Russia at all cost we can have.
Do you support no-fly zone?
Well, look, I think that many of my colleagues have said where the danger is. I think that we need to discuss all options, but I don't want to go into details right now what those options are. We all understand that apparently people in Moscow are blackmailing us. People in Moscow know that there is going to be discussion because we are the alliance at 30 member states. So to make any kind of that decision, we need unanimous thing, and then we need also countries that can enforce that. But at the same time, we must be very careful and balanced, and we should discuss very openly what options we have. But I will not go into the discussion, do I support or I don't support any of measures that we are going to discuss.
Sir, do you fear that NATO...
Finland is also partner countries, because we are also under threat, under danger.
In what way? You mean, what about...
From Russia, you know, if Georgia's territories...
Well, you know, I've been always joking a little bit with my Finnish and Swedish colleagues. Whenever they want to become members of NATO, we would be the first ones to advocate. I even would be very happy to offer some kind of discount for defense budget for at least 2-3 years. But this is, of course, a little bit a joke. But on the other hand, we work very, very closely with Sweden and Finland. We work with those countries already for many years, and for the Baltic region, for my own country, cooperation with those countries is extremely important. To make a decision about joining or not joining NATO, it's their own sovereign decision, and I think that this kind of blackmail, again, what we are seeing in Russia, shows that we have a very dangerous country. I believe personally that it's time to go from deterrence mission in the eastern flank to the full-scale defense mission. We still need to discuss more assets, we still need to discuss more troops, we still need to address many issues. And this is not only here at the foreign ministers, it's also defense minister's job, this is also a job for planners, but I think that we simply have the new reality. Second time in our history, the Iron Curtain has actually, or is falling as we speak, actually, it has not fallen. And now it's very important that we make appropriate decisions, that we are not afraid, but we are also balanced and rational.
Sir, are you afraid that NATO could be dragged into the conflict?
To back up a little bit.
One step behind, please. Another one.
You can't, you're in my camera. You look at that one side.
Une fois, ouais. T'as vu? Ça se remarque, non? Une fois que j'ouvre les yeux. Et aussi les oreilles.
Ja. Ich will übrigens daran überhaupt Julia Reich vom ZDF. Also und dann wahrscheinlich auch. Ja, eigentlich schon.
Alex, ich würde mal bei unserer Technik anrufen und Verbindung aufbauen.
You and
unsere Live-View angeschlossen von den Vorfahrten und ich wollte einmal fragen, ob wir die Verbindung aufbauen können. Und dann nur schon mal, dass du es gehört hast, die Sondersendung möchte Baerbock dann quasi live einspielen und 9:45 kommt Baerbock zum Dorfchef und dann möchte die Sondersendung live einspielen. Wir haben die einfach angesteckt und angemacht.
Die ist noch am Hochfahren.
Die ist noch am Hochfahren. Okay, kannst du es gleich nochmal versuchen? Wenn sie hochgefahren ist? Wenn sie gleich...
Auf welchem Kanal?
Auf welchem Kanal soll man schalten? Nee, ich bin mit Alex ZDF da. 1. Genau. Ja, da wird sich dann auch jemand wenn er sich schon was anhat. Genau, dass wir durchgesteckt haben.
2 Sekunden.
2 Sekunden? Ja. Bleib mal an, Haus rein einfach. Er sieht besser. Okay, das heißt, du bist soweit klar. Oder brauchst du noch was von mir?
Läuft der? Läuft der?
Er ist gerade mit euch am Telefon.
Achso.
Alex, brauchst du mich noch? Okay, magst du weiter mit den Sternen? Brauchst du mich jetzt hier gerade noch? Okay. Das heißt, du zeichnest auf und weißt, dass du um Viertel vor quasi mit der Baerbock lag, glaube ich. Plus minus, ne? Das kann man nicht so beurteilen. Nach Hamburg. Ja, das ist gut. Ja? Kannst du es nochmal sagen? Okay, kann ich dich in 2 Minuten nochmal zugucken? Ich muss mal kurz gucken, ob Silke jetzt da im Pool ist, ja? Dein Fall.
Aber ich habe natürlich zugegeben,
Aber das hatte ich denen gestern auch schon gesagt, dass Blinken, Stoltenberg und Baerbock bitte darauf hinweisen sollen.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Would you mind coming over here? Good morning. How are you?
Why won't NATO enforce
Are you afraid that...
Good morning.
Good morning. Are you afraid that NATO could be dragged into this conflict?
So, and first of all, Europe's security is in danger because of the Russian aggression on Ukraine, and we see the tragic situation there, and the loss of lives, suffering, and destruction. And we pay really an tribute and respect to the bravery and the sacrifice of the resisting Ukrainian soldiers and civilians. And when it comes to Croatia, the Croatian people and political leadership are united and in supporting Ukraine. Of course, on a NATO alliance, defensive alliance, and we would like to avoid any escalation. However, we are firm in our unity and in our support of the Ukrainian people, and we call on Russia to stop immediately the invasion, withdraw and return to dialogue. Thank you very much.
Events of the last 24 hours change what needs to happen. The
We will
events
see.
around the nuclear
We will see.
facilities, sir.
It's on our agenda. We will discuss it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Hi. Sorry, ganz schnell. Wer kommt der nächste? Bist du jetzt dran oder nicht? Nein, aber du sollst hier blinken. Und da soll Alina dich abholen. Da bist du. Okay, und sie hat dich auch dahin
Wir haben ja
gebracht.
hier keinen Schnitt, also du könntest es dann auch verspielen auf diese Karte.
Ja gut, aber das kostet eine Zeit.
Okay, das heißt, ich rufe sie an und sage, du bist vermisst.
Wo ist Silke denn?
Silke dreht jetzt blinken Schalten.
Das ist schon jetzt halt.
Ja, das ist vorher.
Okay, aber du wirst erwähnen und Uli macht die Kabel und alles andere. Ich sage ja Entwarnung.
Aufpassen, dass mein ganzes Zeug lasse ich nicht stehen.
Ja? Okay, perfekt, danke. Ja, sagst du es dir kurz und wenn nicht, dann schreib mir. Super, danke. Bis dann. Tschüss.
Aber wenn es noch rüber ist, aber das zeigt da nichts anfangen. Ja, aber die kann nicht mehr räumen. Ja, gut, aber dann ist es länger als aber hier darfst du ja nicht um 12, glaube ich. Hier kannst du nicht um 12
Hier kannst du nicht um 12 schalten.
Nein, also ist alles
Ja, aber dann stell doch schon was raus, Uli, weil wir sind nochmal auch noch
okay, er sagt alles. Danke. Bis dann. Tschüss. Also sowohl wir als auch wir zeichnen jetzt auf. Nee, genau, und so auch ein Bildtermin.
Der kommt jetzt gleich in anderen Stunden an. Ja. Ja.
Good morning. Good morning, how are you?
Hello, how are you?
Do you mind taking off your mask?
I may take off my mask, thank you.
Sir, statement or questions?
I will start with statement and then of course I'm open to any question. So we are here to discuss the current situation, which is very serious, very serious. I'm personally shocked and by the way Russian military conduct its operation on the territory of Ukraine and the way they attacked nuclear power plant. This is really serious situation and we have to face it.
So what can the Czech Republic, what can NATO do in response to that event in the last 24 hours?
Why won't NATO enforce the no-fly zone?
Sorry.
What can NATO do, sir, in response to the events of the last 24 hours?
We have to strengthen the eastern flank of NATO. Speaking of NATO action, as the European Union, we will continue to discuss sanctions, and we have to make sure that all international community understand that this is a serious violation of any thinkable international law and even nuclear regulation. Okay, so
considering that incident with the nuclear plant,
Yeah.
are you afraid that NATO might be dragged into this conflict in order to avoid a huge catastrophe?
NATO shouldn't be dragged into this conflict. NATO is a defense organization, and we have to defend our member. That's our task.
Why won't NATO enforce a no-fly zone?
No-fly zone mean NATO being in a conflict, since it would be NATO's forces enforcing this no-fly zone. However, let me finish, please. However, the Czech Republic and other states are supplying weapons to Ukrainians, so Ukrainians can enforce their no-fly zone. This is a proper solution.
So Mr. Zelensky wants fighters.
Sorry.
They ask for more assets like planes and things like that. Can you offer that to them?
The Czech Republic is doing a lot. I don't want to specify more on that, and I'm sure that other states are doing also quite a lot. So now it's a matter of time to sustain this barbaric attack. Okay.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Blinken's coming through. He's just going to walk by.
Okay.
So
Should we try?
if you could scoot back, he's going to make comments over here in the room of Stoltenberg over there. So,
But nevertheless, we can try to
if you'd
catch
like,
it,
yeah,
right?
just to finish when you step back a little bit so I can film.
Yeah, and it's a shift in the face of threats from Russia. And if you, I mean, that's the, you're an enormous impact. If you look at the background in the top of the forces still, the railway is escalating, politics in Lithuania, and that is maintaining also the NATO members. The Swedes are things that work with NATO for a very long time. The Swedes, in fact, have just hold on. Got another very important but yeah, absolutely. So Finland and Sweden have that close with the NATO group for a significant amount of time. They're based on my family, there's reference in the 90s, Swedish airports that we knew that he was working with NATO. The problem is, the links have been closed to the public opinion in Sweden.
Somebody push the CNBC guy back to the right.
Hi. Du läufst sowohl was die WDA Krieg angeht und den NATO-Vertrag. Da spricht gerade die kanadische Ministerin, eine blonde junge Dame. Und auf dem zweiten Kanal müssen Sie Vorfahrten haben, wo jetzt gleich der Amerikaner Okay, alles klar. Danke. Ciao.
Good morning, Secretary Blinken. Just a quick statement over here, please. Please.
What's your reaction to the fact there's been a battle around a nuclear power plant?
What about the nuclear stove?
On the border with Ukraine, like exactly Romania, Poland, again, from a lot of ministers great Romanian
Dat die elkaar hier gaan doen. Ja, en dan hier worden words en dan gaan die dan